If people like listen to my podcast, like I'm all about being the hodler last resort, and you need to have security as like your prime focus. That's why I funded Armory. Like capital is going to flow to who treats it best. If you don't respect the private keys, they're gone. And they go to somebody who does respect the private keys. And the capital that's getting transferred via this new crypto age, it's going to the people who respect it. And so you got to have some clear thinking. You got to hone in on signal, not on noise, and get distracted. And that's how you're going to actually be able to keep the rabbit. Everybody's chasing the rabbit. Who's actually going to keep the rabbit? And I was asked by Juan Galt, like at Anarchapulco, he asked like, well, what about Bitcoin Core? Like, what about their competitors? And I was just saying what everybody knew. What competitors? The other guys, they're the JV bench warmers. Like, if they were any good, they'd have pull requests that got accepted and merged. They don't because they're bench warmers on the JV team. Like, they're in the kiddie pool with their little floaters on their arms to stay afloat. Like, they're not players. They don't really matter. So it's just a lot of drama, but not a lot of substance. Like, when are people going to learn? We've been in this industry for a decade. Like, seriously, everybody's had plenty of warning. Like, no sympathy. No sympathy. Bitcoin Core, Armory, Glacier Protocol, Purism Laptop. It's that simple. Like, seriously, if you're not doing your homework, if you're not educating yourself, what are you doing here? Like, you're going to lose some coins? You're going to lose your money? Like, is that what you're doing here? Personal responsibility. It's just, it's that simple. Like, Bitcoin is absolutely brutal at allocating the gains and the losses. Like, it's just brutal. Like, I'm the hodler of last resort. There's nothing below the best. That's why I'm in Bitcoin. The best. Like, it's that simple. Like, nothing below the best. I gave you the 4 things. That's it. Bitcoin Core for network validation. Armory for managing your private keys. Glacier Protocol for your standard operating procedures. And a Purism laptop for your hardware. Personal responsibility, order, integrity, done. It's that simple. I talked about this on Pierre Richard's show too, that like I'm the hodler of last resort. I coined the term, right? Like, none of this Bitcoin Cash is a real Bitcoin. I want people to know exactly what they're buying. I want to know exactly why they're buying it. I want them to know exactly how to keep it safe and secure, so they don't lose it. It's horrible. It's horrible to make the right decision at the right time, but implement it the wrong way and lose your money. And this isn't just for the Bitcoin space. Have you seen what's going on in the general markets, the stock market? How about PG&E stock? They set California on fire. They've imploded. We have way more debt than we had in 2007 globally. Interest rates are going up. Guess what's going to happen? GE, it's now junk. In December, it was paying 4% interest rate. It's over 6.2% now. Guess what's going to happen? Counterparty risk, financial counterparty going to fail. All that debt goes poof, evaporates. Bitcoin, it floats on top of the bathtub water. The Fed puts more water in, Bitcoin will go up because the water goes up. They don't. They quantitative ease, the drain goes down, Bitcoin goes down. It's floating on top of the water. It's going to get crazy, absolutely crazy. In the general financial markets, in the Bitcoin markets, it's always crazy. It's just where we're at. And if you're going to take the risk to own Apple shares that you probably don't even actually own because there's like this DTCC and like a chain of 50 bajillion people between you and your shares, and like you don't even have voting rights. And then like, let's say you have Facebook shares and it's like 10 voting shares to 1 share that you own, so no control there either. Or do you just have the private keys to your own thing? Personal responsibility. Like it's been a decade. Humanity, they've had the opportunity to get themselves educated. It's going to be on like Donkey Kong. It's coming. But it's all about the hodlers of last resort. They're the ones with the unencumbered monetary sovereignty. Power. I was, after it ran to 1,300, it came down like it always does in these cycles, because that's just what these cycles are, And I was asked, where it was. I think it's about 400 at the time, and there is like, brutal bear market, just like this one. And it was like, well, how low could it go? And I was like, well, maybe like 300. But if something really bad happens, like Mt. Gox failing, it could go to like 200. It went to, I think, 192, something like that. Like, Bitcoin's a wild and crazy. I mean, this thing, like, there's a lot of difference in how people value this thing, and so we get the price going all over the place. But yeah, I mean, it could bleed out. I mean, if it gets really bad, I mean, look at Tether and how that's a foundation for a lot of these shady exchanges out there, and price discoveries happening over there. And now we got Backed like coming online, and they're going to be charging $1 per contract, $1 for a Bitcoin. I mean, your cheapest legit exchanges are charging like $8 or $12, $20 like per Bitcoin. So if price discovery moves to Backed and large institutions are coming in, and that might be part of what's happening in this game. Maybe Backed and some of these big players, maybe they're like getting ready to cut Bitfinex off at the knees and move price discovery away from Bitfinex and the other exchanges and onto Backed, where big boys play with billions and billions of dollars. We've got LedgerX already operating. And so I think when Backed comes online, then we're going to be talking about investment committees, right? Like investment, like big hedge funds, banks, Goldman. Like, Bitcoin's still here. It's not going anywhere. And guess what's been happening this whole year? Lightning Network, they've been working out bugs, like Watchtower code just got merged in. We've got 4,000 nodes, like 12,000 channels. Bit refills processed 2,000 transactions with Lightning Network already. This is extensibility, the additional layer. BitPay, they paused Bitcoin Cash acceptance. It's like, why isn't BitPay have Lightning Network integrated? Like, what's the deal, right? So, if you're not moving forward on the latest tech, because BTC Pay, Nicholas Dorier's thing, it's got Lightning Network integrated. So if you're not moving forward, like, you're just going to get left behind. If you're dinking around, like getting distracted and not building the right stuff that people need, to solve like real world use case issues, it's not going to be good for you. So we've got large institutions. So once there's an ability for them to move in with custodianship and these other infrastructure hurdles, the investment committees are going to give the green light for them to at least buy something. Yale and Harvard are both moved in with their endowments. The Yale finance professors wrote the article. 6% of total assets in Bitcoin at the upper end, like 1% at a minimum, 3% if you think it's going to just perform half as well as it has in the past. So, I mean, we're talking about huge amounts of capital that can potentially be coming into this space. And how low could it really go? I mean, hit 20,000 almost, like 5,500. Okay, even if it goes down another 50%, we're still looking at 2,750, which is up 100% from where it was 18 months ago. Like investors, they think in terms of decades. Speculators, traders, like they think in terms of days and weeks and months. Like hodlers of last resort, they have a long time horizon. long. And so, like if you're just here to get rich quick and you have no mental investment and you can't control your emotions and you have no discipline, you're going to get wrecked. But if you've got if you've got a long time horizon and your time preferences changed because you understand the nature of the soundest, hardest money that the world has ever seen. I mean, in 18 months, it's going to have a lower inflation rate than gold. I mean, and it's extensible. And the current system, like what money is, it's going to die. Like the current system is a burning platform. So like, where's everybody going to go? And so this is the hardest, soundest money that the world has ever known. And like, so how low can it really go? I mean, it's up 100% from 18 months ago. Yeah, I like gold. It's sound money. It could be gold. It could be the dollar. It could be Bitcoin. Like, the world has not settled on anything yet, and that's why we're seeing such wide fluctuations in the Bitcoin price over the last decade. I mean, 5 years ago, like Bitcoin, look at where Bitcoin's at from where it was 5 years ago. I mean, gold's just about the same place it was. I mean, you have to have long-term thinking. You have to have discipline. It's like, get rich quick. You're just going to get wrecked. Look, we're moving into an era of financial innovation. It has been hugely stifled over the last 100 years. And it's just a Cambrian explosion because of this censorship resistance. It's great, but Bitcoin is the apex predator. Know what I'm saying? How do you kill this thing? You slice it in half with Mt. Gox and it's like comes back and is like 20 times the size and fully healed. You try the same thing with Bcash. And it like the same thing happens. It's 20x bigger. Like, I mean, this Bitcoin thing is a behemoth. Like, it is an apex predator that is built to just survive. And then it just takes territory in terms of the world's wealth. It's a black hole on the world's balance sheet. So, this is one of the reasons that Bitcoin is the apex predator. Because of all the infrastructure built around it. Like when's there going to be a backed trading like Dash, for example, or Dogecoin? Like not going to happen. Not anytime soon. Like when's a Dogecoin ETF going to come out? Yeah, I mean, how much lower can it go, really? I mean, maybe 3,000, but I mean, there's big money stepping in buying this stuff. It was like $8 billion of volume. I mean, that's a lot of volume. They know more about personality than they know about managing their private keys and collecting their forks. How'd you get your priorities mixed up? Here's a metric, just to put this in perspective. Like Chain Analysis looked at the total number of Bitcoins. There's maybe 10 million that are active, available for sale, that haven't been lost, right? Out of about the 18 million, give or take. Let's say 10 million. There's 220,000 people on the planet with a $30 million net worth or more. If they moved 1% of their net worth into Bitcoin, they would buy 44 Bitcoins each, which would be that whole 10 million. There's just not much Bitcoin. Not at all. I mean, I've been around Bitcoin where it's gone down 35% in a day in like 30 minutes when the 2013 fork happened. Like, I mean, you know what type of mental and emotional discipline it takes to be a hodler of last resort. This you have to have such control of yourself and your emotions. Like, I mean, it's a hard thing to do, really hard thing to do.
Well, here's a reminder, and I say this all the time, and I just want you to confirm. There's going to be a day in the future where the Bitcoin goes down by $5,000. True or false?
True. I mean, the dollar's not limited in amount. 50 years from now, who knows how many of those dollars are going to be around, but probably more than we got today.
Well, even a better prediction here, and this is just to strengthen people's hands. Bitcoin will go down by 20% one day in the future.
Oh, I don't know about that. The volatility has been getting greatly mitigated. We saw like 10, 12% in this recent shakeout and panic.
Yes.
Where it used to be a really big one used to be like 30% or 35. We're talking like the way outside the standard deviations from the norm. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll probably see a 20. I'd say it's more probable than not, but it's definitely getting less volatile.
Well, I think that yesterday or over the last few days that we could have a 10 to 12% one. I would still think there's got to be a 20% one left. And under this scenario, in the future, Fidelity will be holding a lot of people's crypto, and what's the type of the custodial? There'll be all sorts of custodial accounts. When a custodial account gets hacked, when a custodial account will be hacked eventually.
I mean,
that'll bring, the first time it happens, it'll probably bring the price down of Bitcoin by 20%.
HSMs and multi-sig, and I don't know, the real professionalism that's coming into this space with the players like Fidelity, and that's Fidelity's wheelhouse. That's their wheelhouse. So the custodianship issue is really not that hard. It's when you got a bunch of people in a clown car that is hard. But I mean, we've got very, very talented and experienced professionals that are coming into the space now. Like NIM, where it got hacked for 500 million. It was like two guys running the exchange over in Japan. Like Fidelity is not, there's things like information system security standards. I mean, private keys, there's a whole industry around like securing these things and having key generation ceremonies and like FIPS certified hardware and like chains of custody and audits, and like you got ISAE audits and like SAS 70 type 2 audits for processes. Like, these custodians like Fidelity, they're going to be doing it the right way, most likely.
Like Fidelity, but here you mentioned clown cars before. There are going to be clown cars that are posing as custodians, though.
I mean, like that's where the Fidelity name is like boom. Like how do you establish trust like that? That's why BACT is such a big deal when it comes to the movement of price discovery. Because, we're there, that's like operated by the people who operate the largest, deepest commodities markets in the world. I mean, these boys, like, they got big boy pants on.
Big boy, baby.
Really big boy pants.
All right, there's one, Dan Williams, and we're going to tie it up with this, because this is a positive type of question. Dan Williams sent $5 in the super chat, and he has this question. When we start back up, will it be slow or rip your face off?
I'd probably be slow. I mean, what did I do? I wrote an article, The Rise of the Fourth Great Bitcoin Bull. Bitcoin was $388. And I called it, and boom, it ran up to 20,000. These things, it takes a while. It takes a while. Look for that Meyer multiple, look for that Meyer multiple, and it helps you understand where you're at in the cycle, So it's this bipolar, like manic depressive way of approaching prices, like you just don't have the right time horizon view and lens that you're looking through.
Long-term thinking, people. Long-term thinking. Don't worry. Again, there are going to be days where it goes down by 500. There are going to be days it goes up by 500.
Well, that's why we're talking about the Meyer multiple, right?
Yes.
It's a 200-day moving average, and then you start graphing that price and looking at the trend there. So you're looking at things with a 180-day, 200-day, 9 months of that filters out all the daily noise. Daily noise, it's irrelevant. We want to see where the capital flows are going.
And by the way, right behind you is the a newspaper from the year 2009, I believe.
Yeah. So Chancellor on the second brink of bailout over there. Got Lightning Network white paper over there. Links art collection.